तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साधवैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललितं श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने नमो हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये मंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we welcome you all to this Bhakti-sastri class. Wish you all a happy Deepavali. We are studying Nectar of Instruction, text number 1. We did it last time also. Half of it is done. So we're discussing about the 6 Vegas or impulses that sadhaka, a devotee, practicing devotee is supposed to try to control in order to focus one's mind completely on Krishna consciousness. So those 6 Vegas are the Vega of the tongue, which is of 2 types. One is of speaking and the other is of eating. So speech and um, the sense of taste. So these 2 are there. And then there is the Vega of the mind, which is divided into 2 parts. Unreserved or unrestricted attraction towards sense objects, so attachment towards them. And then there is anger uh, due to unfulfillment of desires or due to the fear of things being lost. And then there is the urge of the belly and then of the genitals. It can be divided again, the 6 can be divided into 3 types: the physical, the mental, and the verbal. 3 kinds of impulses. So if you remember, Srila Prabhupada in the beginning of the purport gives his explanation over this verse. He explains it in his own way. And then after that, he also gives a translation of the explanation given by Srila Bhakti-sastri Thakurin in his Anuvritti. So we read what Srila Prabhupada said about the speech, about the mind, and about the anger. Then further, he writes about the urge of the tongue. Right, that's what we are going to discuss today. Jiva Vega. This is one of the first urges of the body. And Prabhupada says that of all the senses, the tongue is the most uncontrollable, most voracious. So let's read from the purport. First, we recite the verse. Vacho vegam manasaha krodha vegam jivva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvam abhimam prithivim sashishyat. Reading from the purport. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience that the tongue wants to taste or eat palatable dishes. Hmm. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasad. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasad. That is the way to control the urge of the tongue. One should take prasad at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweet meat shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasad, the urges of the belly and tongue can be controlled. So the easiest way is what? The easiest way is to stick to the principle, I'll only honor Krishna prasadam. Mm. By that way, we can control the tongue. And if you control the tongue, then we can also control the belly. Take prasadam at scheduled times and not eat in restaurants or sweetmeat shops. Eating in restaurants or sweetmeat shops is not a necessity. Uh, it's basically an entertainment. Oh, there is something nice. I want to eat. Let me go to the restaurant. Mm. So if one just makes this habit, I will only eat food which is cooked at home, offered to Krishna, prepared by a devotee, then by just that one principle, we will avoid eating so many nonsense stuff. Mm. Next, in a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. The genitals should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child, otherwise, they should not be used. The Krishna consciousness movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for the begetting of Krishna conscious children. As soon as the children are a little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukul school, where they are trained to become fully Krishna conscious devotees. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals. So again, it's not prohibited that the husband and wife have physical relationship. It's allowed. But then why it should be, the purpose is mentioned here. It should be to beget a good child for progeny, for bringing souls into this world who would take to Krishna consciousness or practice pure devotional service. So for that purpose, this is allowed and not for the sake of just entertainment. So next, when one is fully practicing the methods of Krishna conscious control, he can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. He can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. So far, Prabhupada gave his explanation on this verse. Now, onwards, then he'll explain what Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anuvritti Tika. As you can see, he says, in his Anuvritti explanation of Updeshamrita. So from there, Prabhupada begins his spiritual master's explanation on this text. So let us read from here. Yes, someone would like to read. Sure, Prabhuji. You have to unmute yourself.
In his Anuvritti explanation of Upadeshamrita, Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakura writes that our material identification creates three kinds of urges: the urge to speak, the urge or demands of the mind, and the demands of the body. When a living entity falls victim to these three types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting these demands or urges is called tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. So this is what Bhakti-sastri Thakur says. So what is tapasya? It's a process by which one can overcome victimization by the material energy by resisting these demands or urges. Hmm. Yes, Rashmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. When we refer to the urge to speak, we refer to useless talking, such as that of the impersonal Mayavadi philosophers, or of persons engaged in fruitive activities, technically called karmakanda, or of materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. All such talks or literatures are practical exhibitions of the urge to speak. Many people are talking nonsensely and writing volumes of useless book, and all of the result of the urge. Remove this.
Hmm. What
Lower.
happened?
Thank you. Many people are talking nonsensely and writing volumes of the useless books, and all of the results of this result is urge to speak. To counteract this tendency, we have to divert our talking to the subject of Krishna. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5, 10 to 11. Na yad vachas chitra padam harerayasu jagat parivartam
Pavitra.
sorry, Jagat Pavitram Pragamita Karahicit Yat Vyasyam Tirtham.
Tadvayasam tirtham ushanti manasa na yatra hansa nirmanti ushikshayaha.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for cows, since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there.
Yes. Tadvag visargo janatag viplavo yasmin prati shlokam abhattavatyapi namanyanantasya yashonkitani yat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhavaha. Continue.
On the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest.
So regarding the speech here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam. He's saying that those who are having control over this sense of speech, they will use it for discussing about Krishna. And such speech, even if it is imperfectly composed, Prabhupada writes, it is accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Prabhupada mentioned this verse right in the beginning of his Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 also. That though my work of translating the Srimad Bhagavatam may be imperfect, but those who are purified men, they will still accept it because it is full of glories of Krishna. Whereas subject matters other than that are compared to be like a place of pilgrimage for crows. Hmm. Crows like filthy stuff, dirty stuff. That's where they assemble. And that's what materialistic people indulge in. Same nonsense stuff they want to hear or talk or indulge in, gratify their senses with. So that's why they're compared to crows. Whereas swans, they are different. Right. They are different. So they don't engage in such stuff. Next paragraph. Sujata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. As for the agitation,
Read, please. Yeah.
As for the agitations of the flickering mind, they are divided into two divisions. The first is called avirodha priti or unrestricted attachment, and the other is called virodha yukta krodha, anger arising from frustration. Adherence to the philosophy of the Mayavadis, belief in the fruitive results of the Karmavadis, and belief in plans based on materialistic desires are called Avirodha Riti. Jnanis, karmis, and materialistic plan makers generally attract the attention of conditioned souls. But when the materialistics cannot fulfill their plans, and when the devices are frustrated, and they become angry. Frustration of material desires produces anger.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Frustration of material desire produces anger. Madhumati Mataji. You have to unmute yourself, Mataji.
My apologies, Prabhuji. I'm from the phone. Yeah, sorry about that. Similarly, the demands of the body can be divided into three categories: the demands of the tongue, the belly, and the genital. One may observe that these three senses are physically situated in a straight line as far as the body is concerned, and that the bodily demands begin with the tongue. If one can restrain the demands of the tongue by limiting its activities to eating of prasada, the urges of the belly and the genitals can automatically be controlled. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vinod Thakur says, Satra avidya jala
Sharira Vidyajal Jorindriya Tahekal Jive Phele Vishe Sagare Tarmate Jivati Lohumoy Sudarmati Taki Jeta Katin Sansare Krishna
Krishna
Bara
Vara
Dayamoy Koribare Jivajai Suprasadana Dilabhai Sayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gungao Devilako Shri Chaitanya Nitai. Okay.
O Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance, and the sense are a network of path leading to death. Somehow or other, we have fallen into the ocean of material sense enjoyment, and all of the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. But you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us. You have sent this nice prasada to help us conquer the tongue. Therefore, let us take this prasada to our full satisfaction and glorify your Lordship, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and in love call for the help of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, next paragraph, someone would like to read. They are going Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. There are 6 kinds of rasas, tastes, and if one is agitated by any one of them, he becomes controlled by the urges of the tongue. Some persons are attracted to the eating of meat, fish, crabs, eggs, and other things produced by semen and blood, and eaten in the form of dead bodies. Others are attracted by eating vegetables, creepers, spinach, or milk products, but all for the satisfaction of the tongue's demands. Such eating for sense gratification, including the use of extra quantities of spices like chili and tamarind, is to be given up by Krishna conscious persons. The use of pan, haritaki, betel nuts, various spices used in pan making, tobacco, LSD, marijuana, opium, liquor, coffee, and tea is indulged in the fulfill illicit demands. If we can practice accepting only remnants of food offered to Krishna, it is possible to get free from Maya's victimizations. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk products, and water are proper food to offer to the Lord, as Lord Krishna himself prescribes. However, if one accepts prasad only because of its palatable taste and thus eats too much, he also falls prey to trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes even while eating prasad. If we offer palatable dishes to the deity with the intentions of eating such nice food, we are involved in trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. If we accept the invitation of a rich man with the idea of receiving palatable food, we are also trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 6.227, it is stated, Jivara lalsai yei iti utidhai Shishnodar Parayana Krishna nahi paye. That person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate and who is always attached to the desires of his stomach and genitals is unable to attain Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So detailed description given of what we should not be eating. Jivara lal se ye iti utidhai Shishnodar Parayan Krishna nahi paye. For the sake of the tongue, people run here and there to gratify the palate, and that's why they cannot attain to Krishna. Yes, next, someone please read. Yes, Aishwarya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As stated before, the tongue, the belly, and genitals are all situated in a straight line, and they fall in the same category. Lord Chaitanya had said, Bhalo na khaibe ar bhalo na poribe. Do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious foodstuffs. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya 6.236. Those who suffer from diseases of the stomach must be unable to control the urges of the belly, at least according to this analysis. When we desire to eat more than necessary, we automatically create many inconveniences in life. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the belly. As far as the urges of the genitals are concerned, there are two, proper and improper, or legal and illicit sex. When a man is properly mature, he can marry according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras and use his genitals for begetting nice children. That is legal and religious. Otherwise, he may adopt many artificial means to satisfy the demands of the genitals, and he may not use any restraint. When one indulges in illicit sex life, as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually having sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in the clutches of Maya. These instructions apply not only to householders but also to tyagis, or those who are in renounced order of life. In his book Prema Vivarta, chapter 7, Sri Jagadananda Pandit says, বৈরাগী ভাই গ্রাম্য কথা না শুনিবে কানে, গ্রাম্য বার্তা না কহিবে যাবে মিলিবে আনে, স্বপনেও না করবে ভাই স্ত্রী সম্ভাষণা, গৃহে স্ত্রী ছাড়িয়া ভাই আসিয়াছে বনে, যদি চাহ প্রাণ রাখিতে গৌরাঙ্গের সনে, ছোট হরিদাসেরে কথা থাকে যেন মনে, ভালো না খাইবে আর ভালো না পড়িবে, হৃদয়তে রাধা কৃষ্ণ সর্বদা সেরে। My dear brother, you are in a renounced order of life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their lordships, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, in your hearts, in your heart of hearts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very strong instructions given here. Of course, we should know some of these instructions are meant for sannyasis alone, some are meant for grihasthas, some are meant for brahmacharyas. So for sannyasis, it's mentioned that they have to be very careful of association with women. For grihasthas, restricted association is allowed with wife. And in this way, one can control one's senses. To let the senses loose is an animal tendency, which we have been doing in all our previous lives when we had animal bodies. So in the human form of life, a sober person is supposed to control one's senses. And sometimes people think controlling senses means just control one of the senses. It means actually controlling each of the senses. Some people may have one sense more weak than the other sense. Some people's eyes are more uncontrolled. Some people's tongue are more uncontrolled. Some people's mind is more uncontrolled. So they have to identify and control each one of them, some sense more than the other. That's what is the task in this human form of life. After one controls one's senses, then one can become a sober person and think with a cool head that what should be the goal of life and how can I achieve that goal of life. The conclusion, yes, Gaurav Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandat Pranam. The conclusion is that one who can control these 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the go or senses. When one accepts the renounced order of life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is a master of his family, community, or society. He must be master of his senses. Unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called a Goswami, but Godas, servant of the senses. Following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, the Godasas engage in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. They have no other engagement. Prahlad Maharaj has further described the Godas as Adanta Go, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. An Adanta Go cannot become a servant of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30, Prahlad Maharaj has said, Matirna Krishne parata swatau va mitho viphadyate grihavartanam adanta gobhir vishatam tamishram punah punaschar vitacharvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. Hare Krishna.
Puna punasharvita charvananam. Because they're dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. And they cannot become Krishna conscious either a personal endeavor or by instructions from others or by joint conferences. It means by mutual discussion also. Why? Because they have personally decided to not control their mind and senses. Such people are very easy to identify. From their talk, you can understand that they don't like controlling the mind and senses. If you tell them this is wrong, they will say, what's wrong in this? There's nothing wrong in this. It's all right. This is normal. This is natural. For them, sense gratification is a natural activity. Then they'll give many excuses. God made us, why He made us to be happy. If God doesn't want us to enjoy, why would He give us a tongue? Why would He give us eyes? Why would He give us a belly? These all things have been given to us so that we can use them. So then they'll speak their own philosophy. But they will not accept the idea that the mind and senses should be controlled. They won't accept that because of strong thirst for enjoyment. So Radha says, how can they become Krishna conscious? Because to be Krishna conscious, one needs to have some control, some check on one's mind and senses. One should be ready to do that. Discipline, some kind of discipline. Discipline over oneself. So we'll quickly go through the slides and then we will also go through some more explanations given on this text. We discussed these slides. Vacho Vega, 3 ways you can speak: by writing, by speaking in the mind. And then this is the verse that Bhakti-sastri Thakur has quoted, the image of crows, swans floating around. Can people just remain silent or silence help? Prabhupada says no. Monovrat is negative. Silence is, neutral. And so just keeping silent or speaking nonsense is not allowed. But talking about Krishna, that is a positive thing to do. So we discuss either we should talk about Krishna or we should talk about things related to Krishna, such as Krishna Seva or whatever. That is also Krishna Katha. Manahaveg, can we make our mind empty? No, it's not natural. And it cannot be practiced for long. So put your mind on Krishna. Krishna Surya Samamaya Yaha Krishna Taha Mahimaya Adhikar. Putting the mind on Krishna means putting the mind on Krishna Seva or Krishna Nam, Krishna Rupa. Initially, when we are neophytes, we may not be able to put the mind on Krishna Nam, Krishna Rupa. But yes, we can definitely put the mind on Krishna Seva. Because we have this karma pravitti, tendency to work or tendency to act. So we can use that tendency in Krishna consciousness and put our mind on that. Plan about Krishna Seva. Then Krodha Vega, why? Due to unfulfilled desires caused by frustration of material desires. And how it can be stopped? It can only be stopped by redirecting it, channelizing it into service of Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot become free from anger. Not possible. Jiva Vega, urge of tongue. It's mentioned in the purport. These 3 are in one line. So if you control the tongue, naturally the other 2 get controlled. 6 rasas are mentioned. Bhakti-sastri Thakur says that attraction towards any one of them will lead to problem, right? So one should be careful. right? Attraction towards any one of them will lead to. What should one not eat? It was mentioned there, Hannah. And solution: we should only eat when what is desired. We should only eat what is desirable, which is Krishna Prasad, nothing else. Don't eat in hotels or sweet shops. And the feeling that should be that we only eat when we get Krishna Prasad. Right? Actually, those who are very sincere, very pakka devotees, like you can talk about Madhvendra Puri, such exalted souls. They will, for them, Krishna Prasadam doesn't mean that you cook your meal and you offer to Krishna and that's called Krishna Prasadam. For them, Krishna Prasadam means someone should fetch them Krishna Prasadam. That's what they will consider as Mahaprasad and eat it. Not that, okay, I go shopping, I cook what I like, then I offer to Krishna, and then I say, okay, this is Krishna Prasadam. That's fine. Krishna said in Bhagavad-gita, Yat karoshi, yat juhoshi tadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat karoshi nidarpanam. Right? So whatever you eat, you do, you give away, you offer it to me. But devotees like Madhvendra Puri, for them, Mahaprasad means prasadam should come to me. Then I eat. Then I honor it. It is sent by Krishna. So that way they it's stuck to that principle. Okay, then Udara Vega, not eating more than necessary, right? Whenever you have a very tasty item in front of you, there's chance of overeating, which causes diseases related to the stomach, right? And in that way, we create many inconveniences in life. Of course, when we eat too much, we become dull, our brain stops functioning. All the blood goes to the stomach because it's required for digestion. So you become drowsy and dull if you overeat, right? So it should be avoided. Only take Krishna Prasadam and fast regularly on dates like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, eat on time. Upastha Vega, attraction towards opposite sex. So it should not be done in an unrestricted manner. Perverted union is what? Thinking about it, making a plan, discussing about it, having or engaging in sex, artificial orgasm, not for pleasure but for sense gratification. So become a Goswami, control the senses. And Vaishnava is supposed to be a Goswami. And one who is not, that is called Adantago or Godas. So this is a verse, very, very beautiful verse by Prahlad Maharaj. So what is the primary instruction of this book? Become pure Vaishnavas. So it's mentioned that this scripture should be followed very strictly, Updeshamrita. And that will make us achieve our goal easily. We'll be successful easily. The six urges present various types of obstacles in the immature stages of a sadhaka spiritual life. These are obstacles because we come from a conditioned background, because of our past bad habits. We will face these obstacles in the beginning days. Like someone may like to eat cakes and pastries. Someone may like to eat, pizza, momo, whatever not. So many different things. And then go to the shop, try to indulge oneself in their chocolates. So one should try to control or restrict. And how can we dispel these tendencies? By, first of all, Sharanagati, taking shelter of Krishna, exclusive shelter. And by avoiding offenses to holy name, Darshanama Prad, and doing Shravan and Kirtan in the association of sadhus. We can avoid these things. Try our best to control them, overcome them. Does it mean we'll be able to do it very quickly? Not necessarily. We don't have to even choke up our senses because the senses have a need and those needs have to be fulfilled. But then as our needs change, gradually, slowly, the ourselves will not feel like engaging in sense gratification, or our sense gratification will change. Hmm. And that will happen naturally if we practice Krishna conscious sadhana. Well, good, nice one. That's right. So we'll just discuss few more things. Then I'll the question and answer. Regarding the speech, the first thing is speech, vachaha. In Bhagavad Gita, also Krishna mentioned about austerity of speech. Mm, Speech is a very essential element of one's life because through one's speech, one not only can agitate others' minds, one also keeps one's own mind agitated. Right? So one should control one's speech. What we speak will lead to actions. Sometimes what we speak will also lead to thoughts. So speech should be checked. It stimulates ideas in the mind. As soon as you start talking about things, it starts giving you ideas, right? And then you want to do such things. So it creates a psychological atmosphere. Like people, there are people who think a lot about how they are. Uh, they live in a mental house. I'm like this, I'm like that. If I do this, this is going to happen. This has happened in the past. So this is what happens when you speak unnecessarily. Then you live in a mental house, not in a not in the reality. So we should forget what has happened in the past, not talk about it much. The more you talk about it, the more you will dwell upon it. And speech will also lead to activity. Like to give you an example, if you begin to sing, it's natural you begin to dance because speech leads to activity. If you begin to shout, it's natural you may even raise your hand upon the other person. So the speech has to be, let's say, controlled. Mhm. Amongst all the elements, the first element created is sound, right? Which means what? Everything else originates from sound, which means what? In our life, everything will begin from our speech. If my speech is, oh, it's going to be a good day, today I'll chant nicely, today I'll be very happy because I'm getting the chance to be Krishna conscious. My future is bright. These devotees are so nice. So if we speak like that, what will happen? That sound will create that kind of energy or aura around us, vibrations around us. And that will make us very positive. But if we speak the other way, oh, it's a bad day. It's going to be a bad day today. Mm, I'm not happy. My life is miserable. Devotees are not nice. Then it's also going to create a negative energy around me. That's why speech is the first thing. Mm. Actually, it's related to our prana also. As soon as we speak, we 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 stimulate a lot of things inside us. Uh, right? So control speech means you speak about Krishna. And you speak about Krishna consciousness in a positive manner, not in a negative manner. It is said, and of course, these statistics might be wrong, but it was a statistics based on a research on that men in general used to, not now, in general, men used to speak 2,000 words a day, average. Mm. And women used to speak 7,000 words a day, an average. Right? But times have changed. Both men and women have started talking more. So now it might be like men are speaking 7,000 words a day and women are speaking 20,000 words a day. Right? So we should learn to control. We should learn to control. But one nice thing about this is if women can talk 3 times more than men, then they have 3 times more opportunities to be Krishna conscious also. And they can speak Krishna Katha also 3 times more. So that way it can be positively utilized. Sorry. Said something. Okay, switch. I don't know that the mic is on unmute. Then urge of anger. Yeah, regarding mind, one very practical tip for keeping our mind engaged is we should always plan Krishna Seva. The more we keep our mind planning Krishna Seva, our mind will be always engaged. We plan. Everyone plans. No one is there who doesn't plan. Even Krishna plans. So if you keep planning, what next, what next, what next in Krishna consciousness, what next, our mind will be very much engaged. It will not go here and there. But if you leave the mind empty or you're like a ship without any rudder, then the mind will trouble us a lot. So as soon as we get up in the morning, the first thought should be, oh, what today? What can I do today for Krishna's Seva? For Krishna's Seva, for Krishna's devotees? What can I do? So if we keep planning like that, then our mind will be always on it. We are not that advanced, or we are not that pure to be completely attracted to Krishna Nam, Krishna Rupa, Krishna Leela. That's a far goal. But then Krishna Seva, yes, we can be attached to it. Oh, I like to do this thing and I would like to do this for Krishna. So as soon as we get up in the morning, we can start planning. What will I do today? What are the things that I'm supposed to do today? Right? And that way the mind is focused. Planning for Krishna. Why we should do that? Because we are still so much in the influence of mode of passion. We are not in mode of goodness. And how does passion function? Passion means agitation, stimulation. So you have to stimulate the mind and intelligence. Stimulate it sufficiently. That's why don't go for easy things always. Go for sometimes things which are difficult, which will require your mind to be involved in it. Something challenging for the mind. If there are no challenges in life, there's boredom. And when there is boredom, then there is necessity of unnecessary sense gratification. Right? So therefore, there should be some challenges, even in our Krishna consciousness. Then there will not be boredom. And when there's no boredom, then your mind will not hanker for unnecessary sense gratification. Next, the urge of anger. So the way to control anger is using anger in Krishna Seva. Anger is the most difficult thing to control, actually. But it can be used properly. Prabhupada says you should blaspheme the non-devotees of Krishna. Or you should feel angry when someone does something wrong to a devotee of Krishna. I told you about that pastime of Hari Shari Prabhu, right? Prabhupada, he went to a Gita program. No? So he was invited I think it was in Indore or maybe somewhere else. Yeah, Indore, not sure. So he was invited for a Gita Sammelan, where all the esteemed speakers were given a slot for speaking on Bhagavad-gita. So Prabhupada was also invited and he was given a timing and he reached before time. So there were people sitting on the stage in the auditorium giving their talk. And Prabhupada was waiting in the waiting room. But the waiting room opened into the auditorium, and he could very easily see people who were speaking and also listen to them. So Harishari Prabhu was Prabhupada's servant in those days. And as soon as Prabhupada heard them talking, he got up from his seat and he started walking back and forth in the room itself. You might be knowing this, that if a person is angry or a person is disturbed, you'll find that that person cannot sit in one place, right? Then that person starts walking back and forth. So Prabhupada was walking back and forth. So Harishari Prabhu was observing Prabhupada's expression, his face, and he could see Prabhupada's face was getting redder and redder, more and more red. You know, his temper was increasing because he was not able to tolerate the nonsense that they were talking. But he was controlling himself because his time had not yet come to enter inside and speak. So then Harisharpu writes that if you observe Prabhupada at that time, it was as if a fully charged up bull ready to attack the person standing in front of him. So he was looking like that. And then as soon as his time came, he just barged into the auditorium, went to the stage, and started blasting the wrong philosophy. Mm. So he was going bang and bang and bang and bang and bang. And people thought, why is so angry? You know, everyone gave such a nice speech. They were all talking about peace based on Bhagavad-gita, this and that. And Prabhupada was criticizing heavily, raising his voice and shouting. And people also started shouting and, giving arguments. So there was a Bengali lady sitting in the audience. She was maybe 35 years old. She stood up and said, "You are just trying to support Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy." And then Prabhupada retaliated and said, "I never said anything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You shut up and sit down." So then Harish Prabhu says that after some time, then Prabhupada saw that now things are getting very hot. So then he cracked a joke, and then everyone started laughing. Mm. So then Prabhupada later on said it was a good fight. In this way, I released my anger. So this is what devotee does. Of course, his anger was not based on malice. That's the key. A pure devotee's anger is not based on malice. When we are angry, our intention is, I want to destroy the other person. I want to hurt the other person. I want to take revenge. Right? But when a pure devotee is angry, then it's not out of malice. It's because they are hurt. The emotions for Krishna, that is hurt, and they are looking at the ignorance of the people. So they are angry out of compassion. So immediately he cracked a joke and everyone was laughing and then things changed. But Prabhupada, he spoke the truth. At the same time, he released his anger. So this is how pure devotees are. Hmm. Fine. So next is then tongue and belly that we discussed. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Any questions or comments? Hare Govind Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank Prabhuji, I just wanted to understand more on the statement where it said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes even while eating prasad. So, can we take it as this way, as whatever is prasad, however is made, should be accepted as prasad, and the other way is, even while we are preparing, we have to make sure that we are not making too rich foods all the time. How do we understand this, Prabhuji?
You see, prasadam has to be respected, even if it is rich or very, very palatable. It should be honored and respected. At the same time, respecting it doesn't mean you have to always eat it or gulp it down. Hmm. So sometimes we have to be health conscious also. If I eat too rich food, it will spoil my health. Then how will I serve Krishna? I need a healthy body, right? That doesn't mean I am disrespecting prasadam. I'm just being concerned about my service to Krishna. Like Ma Yashoda, she was feeding Krishna her breast milk, but when she heard the sound of the milk boiling in the earthen pot inside, and she got the fear that it may spill over, then she dropped Krishna there on the ground and went to stop the gas, right? Or lift the vessel from the fire. So for one service to Krishna, she avoided something else, which was also for Krishna. Likewise, okay, prasadam is in front of me, someone has given it to me, that's fine. Honoring it is a seva. But if I honor it and I spoil my health, then I'm creating a problem for my other services to Krishna. So in that case, if I avoid it, I'm not being wrong. What is the intention? The intention is if I live healthy life or if I live a longer life, I'll be able to engage in more seva. So what's wrong? So devotees are not hateful of nice prasadam. Some people are like that. You know, in the name of dry renunciation, then they will start hating good food, tasty food. They will also condemn other Vaishnavas when they're eating nice food. Why you're eating so rich food, this and that. But that's wrong. Prasadam is prasadam, however it may be. So we should not condemn it. We should be respectful. At the same time, we don't have to indulge in it if it's unhealthy for us. Right? And if someone else is indulging in it, if it's healthy for that person, why not? Let that person take it.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, one more follow-up question. So, there is almost one more statement by Bhakti-sastri Saraswati Thakur saying that we should not prepare as per our requirements. As in, that statement, I just want to know. Sorry, I'm not getting it. It's somewhere it says that it should not be as per our how do you say, desires.
What prasadam?
Yeah, cooking of the prasadam should not be. I'm not getting that line exactly. So how do we
It's
understand
okay,
that?
not a problem. If you are in temple, then you cook everything for Krishna, the Mahaprasadam. So you follow the exact menu, what Krishna likes, or what Srila Prabhupada has set as a standard. But when you're at home, then things are not always in your hand. Situations, right? So then you cook whatever is available, or you cook what is required by the family members who might be sick, who might be a kid. So then situations will not let you always make something which is as per Krishna's desire. Let's say if I'm sick and I need to eat something, then I may just cook plain dalia and eat it. But Krishna may not be so excited about dalia. Right. He will want puri, sabji, halwa, all that stuff. But what can be done? So, so in that situation, what a grihastha devotee should do is every day when they're cooking, most of the time they will cook as per the need of the family. But they can make one preparation which is just for Krishna. But this is for you. It may be just small amount, but this is just for you. And because this is just for you, I'll not eat it. I'll just distribute it to anyone who comes to my house or I'm going out. So you make small amount and then you give it out to other devotees or other people. This is Krishna Prasadam. So then you avoid, like making that for yourself. I know some devotees like that. Sometimes they don't eat the Mahaprasad, which of their own deity. They avoid. Why? Because the next time when they're going to offer, they may get this feeling, oh, it's so nice, let me taste it. So then they avoid eating the Mahaprasad of their own deity. They just distribute it around. Like that, some measures can be taken. But this is a good idea. Every day make something just for Krishna. Small amount. Nothing wrong. Even Prabhupada sometimes he cooked as per his taste. What's the problem?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm. Yes, Rashmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I actually had the same question. What is the inspiration to prepare bhoga for Krishna? What should be the inspiration, not as per what I want to give to Krishna?
What should be the inspiration?
Yeah, to offer bhoga to Krishna. Not as per I, but I got the answers what you explained to the Alagon. Another was like, I like sweet, so I offer sweet to Krishna. More sweet. So,
That's not a problem. Krishna also likes sweets.
but it's like I like, so I offer it is wrong, right, for me.
Krishna also likes sweets. So you make sweets and you offer to Krishna. And then you distribute them. Don't eat them. I mean, at least that will keep your mind clean and pure when you're preparing the sweets. I'm making it just for Krishna.
Okay.
So you can do that. And instead you can have a cheat day. That's okay.
Okay.
6 days I make for Krishna. One day I make for Krishna and myself. That's okay. Little bit here and there is fine. It's basically developing an attitude or a tendency. Once we become pure, then it's okay. Then you also like sweet, Krishna also likes sweet. No problem. Now, because we are going from the phase of conditioned life to pure life, we have to take such preventive measures. Then when you become pure devotee, then no problem. Then Krishna will eat whatever you cook. Because now you're a pure devotee. Then Krishna will eat whatever you cook. Then Krishna will not say, I need this, I need that. Just like Krishna went to the house of Vidura. So Vidura's wife, she gave Krishna banana peels. And Krishna ate it. Right? So once you become pure devotee, then Krishna will eat whatever you cook. Then Krishna will start eating pastries and cakes also, which Krishna doesn't eat in Golok Vrindavan. Right? There must not be any pizza in Goloka. There must not be any pasta, burger in Goloka. Or what devotees used to make in the Western countries. Cheese potatoes, all that stuff. I don't think Krishna eats such stuff in Golok Vrindavan. But then devotees started making it, and Prabhupada also started accepting it. So if Prabhupada is accepting it, Krishna also must be accepting it. So Krishna's diet plan changes when it comes to Kali Yuga. Right. So when we become purified, then whatever we cook, Krishna will eat. Then we don't even have to offer, still Krishna will eat. Mahapriya Bhagavani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, how do we connect tongue, food, and anger?
How do we connect tongue, food, and anger?
Tongue, food, and anger. Like in the past, sometimes the saint used to curse, and the food would be so much sattvic, no? But for Kali Yuga, how do we connect the two together?
There's nothing like you see, if food is sattvic, you'll not be angry. That's not the right way to understand. Prabhupada was he not pure devotee? He still got angry. So anger, why anger is there? That has to be understood. Anger in itself is not bad. We might be just eating always sattvic food and still we may get angry. So why anger is there, that has to be understood. If anger is there for the right cause, there's nothing wrong with that anger. If anger is there for the wrong cause, then there is the problem. So anger is an emotion. There is anger even in the spiritual world. Radharani gets angry with Krishna. That's called man. So there's man sarovar. So there's then anger is a natural emotion. In the spiritual world, there's anger when there's unfulfillment or non-fulfillment of spiritual desire. In material world, there is anger when there is non-fulfillment of material desire. So anger will always be there. Even if I become devotee, there will be anger because my spiritual desires will not always get fulfilled. So there will be anger. Or Krishna's spiritual desires are not getting fulfilled, or some other devotee's spiritual desires are not getting fulfilled. So there will be anger. So there is nothing wrong with that. That's a if someone wants to avoid anger, if that person is a devotee, stay away from non-devotees. Because as soon as we come in non-devotees association, it will be like, explosives meeting together. So there will be blast. Because of difference of thinking, difference in goals, mismatch. So you'll be angry naturally. And feel like what these rascals are doing. Right? That kind of feeling will come. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that because our anger also has to be used in Krishna's name. It's a natural emotion. Yes, Gaurav Prabhu.
Prabhu, I read a quote of Srila Bhakti-sastri Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, where he mentioned that anybody who eats Krishna Prasadam in an enjoying spirit of bhoga, he will be dwelling in hell. So, but in the conditioned state, all of us may have some inclination towards certain kinds of palatable dishes. So, how can we understand this?
It's okay. Such statements are made by acharyas or scriptures just to give us a warning so that we are little careful. So like, there's a small child, if it's not studying, then the parent will say, if you don't study, you will end up living on the street. So that's a warning, not that the parent desires something like that for the child. It's a warning. Be careful. Come on, start studying. Likewise, sometimes scriptures, they make very strong statements just to make us little cautious, careful, so that we don't overindulge. Little indulgence will always be there, naturally, You don't overindulge. Because that overindulgence will lead to problem. ऐसा नहीं है, it's not like that okay, if it's 19, you make it 19.5, then Krishna is going to crucify you. That much understanding or that much flexible even Krishna is. We see from Krishna's different pastimes how he's flexible with rules when it comes to devotees. Right? He forgives. So, such statements of the scriptures, we have to understand that they have to make us cautioned, warn us, don't overindulge. Right? Like, let's say if I'm eating gulab jamun and I eat 2 gulab jamuns and then I eat 1 more spoon of a gulab jamun. Just because I've eaten 1 more spoon of gulab jamun, do you think I'll go to hell? Or not? It's not going to be like that, right? No. So that's just a way of communicating to make us more serious. Not be what do you call, not be what is that word? Not be childish.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Sudhir Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Prabhu, in Srila Prabhupada's life, towards the last years of his life, we see that Srila Prabhupada also, he did not eat for many days actually. So I was just thinking, there is this principle that is said that as one ages, the amount of food intake also one should reduce. So was Prabhupada's demonstration of this particular eating less following the principle, or was it based on health reasons, Prabhu?
Prabhupada, being a pure devotee, can eat the food of 10 people also. There won't be any problem. So, because a pure devotee is a pure devotee. They are not bound by any rules or regulations. Right? But then they will observe principles to teach us. And in those last days, he was not eating because he did not have hunger. If you read carefully, he didn't feel like eating. Also, he had made up his mind to leave this body, that my time has come. So he did not eat. And he wanted to teach people also how to leave the body. But we should know, if Prabhupada was so serious about health, why would at such an age he eat? He ate fried puris, samosas, and all that stuff. So pure devotees are not like that. We have to be cautious like that. They don't have to be. They can digest anything. If Krishna wants them to eat, they will eat. Chapan Bhoga also. And Krishna wants them to fast, they will fast. But yes, for us, we have to be careful.
Yes, Prabhu. Another question is, you were talking about the importance of sound, and especially having that internal dialogue, saying something's good, especially when the first things that we do in the morning. So when things are not going our way, I've seen like 2 kinds of people. One is people who have faith in Krishna. So despite of the challenges, because of the faith they have, they keep moving forward. But the other kind of people is maybe they don't have sufficient faith in Krishna, and this kind of dialogues that you're talking about, the day will be good, uh, like other positive kind of a dialogue that we tell ourselves, that gives a kind of like a momentum or a push forward in our bhakti process. So is it okay to follow that path if our faith in Krishna is not very strong, so that we go forward in our devotional path?
Yeah, no problem. Anything that facilitates better Krishna consciousness. What's wrong?
Yes.
So we stop here. We stop here. See you on Thursday. We'll start verse number 2. So now here you see, it was mentioned the 6 things that we need to avoid, 6 impulses that we need to control. Now, in the next text, we'll discuss 6 things that make it very difficult to control our mind and senses and engage the senses in the service of Krishna. And in text 3, we'll discuss 6 qualities that make it easy for us to control our mind and senses and engage our senses in the service of Krishna. That we'll be discussing in text 2 and 3. All right, Srila Prabhupada.